Hello students, I'm again here with all of you with IPMAT as in class exercises, the BA session 1 of IPMAT. So last time if you remember that we already did a generalized class on vocabulary, and today we'll be talking about that how to use those root words, and probably we'll learn about a lot of root words today. We'll learn about some of the foreign words also, and then we'll do the exercises and see how those roots can help us again figuring out the answers in the exercises. So we are here with IPMAT VA1 session of Pratham Test Prep. Alright students, so before we begin, like the video, subscribe the video, share the video with all your friends who all want to get their vocabulary enhanced, right? So let's begin with today's class. Alright, now let's see. Now the first root word for the day is bene, right? And another root word is dict. Making sense? So we have two root words over here, bene and dict. And now we can make a word benediction, right? Now even if I do not know what is benediction, from the root words I can figure out the meaning of benediction, because bene as a root word means something good, something kind, something pleasant, right? And diction, you know, dict has something to do with speaking. So when you say benediction, it means when you speak good for somebody, जब आप किसी को अपना आशीर्वाद देते हो, right? So you speak good for somebody. So it's a kind of blessing you give the person. So what does benediction mean? It means a positive speech, opposite of curse. Right, so it is a positive speech, and the opposite of this word is curse, right? So when I talk about curse now let me understand here, mele would be a root word for something bad. Mele would be a root word for something bad, and malediction would be curse, right? So we've already written the opposite over here. So benediction means a blessing and malediction means a curse. Making sense? Now there is a list of some of the prefixes, some of the root words which are given to you, right? So the prefix and let's discuss the prefix and. Now there are so many words, right, which are prefixed with this, and before that, you know what is a prefix and what is a suffix, right? So there's a root word most of the times it is in between, or probably it can begin a sentence also, it can maybe end it can begin a sentence also, but most of the times root word is in between, and you can prefix anything before it, and you can add something after it also. So anything that you can put before a word is a prefix. Anything then that you can put after a word is a suffix, right? Now we need to understand one thing: whenever you add a prefix or a suffix to a word, right? So what happens with that word? Let's try to understand. If there's a word and if I add a prefix to it, its meaning gets changed. Understand what I'm saying? If there's a word and I put, for example, okay, now let me write a word over here, pathos. Now pathos has come from French origin. Pathos means feelings, right? Pathos means feelings, and the word pathy has come from pathos only. The word pathy, I'm writing it over here, it has come from pathos, right? So pathy means feelings. Now pathy is feelings, pathos is feelings. Now if I prefix this word pathy with a, it becomes apathy, right? So apathy, now even if you do not know what is apathy, you know what is pathy. Pathy is feelings. A as a prefix means not or without. So when you say apathy, you are apathetic towards someone. That means you don't have any feelings for that person, or you can simply say you're being indifferent, right? So when you add a prefix to a root word, when you add a prefix to a word, the meaning of the word gets changed, and most of the times when we add the prefix, that becomes the opposite of the actual word. Why? Because the meaning gets changed, as I said. But when it comes to probably suffixes, right? Now if I talk about any word, okay, let me erase this first. Let me erase this and let me help you. Now suffixes, as I said, suffixes are the words which are put at the end of the word, right? Okay, here we have, right? So there are so many words which are put at the end of the word. For example, you say, okay, you say, what happened with it? Just a moment. Okay. For example, you say judicious. There's a word judicious. Now, at the end, there is IOUS. Now, IOUS is the suffix of the word, right? So, whenever you add the suffix to a word, it basically changes its standard form, right? It changes its standard form. So, you have to be very careful with it. For example, there's a word superstition. Now, let me make you understand like this. Superstition. Right? So you say superstition. There's a word superstition. So when you talk about this word superstition, it is a noun, right? But when you say superstitious, right? Now you have added IOUS at the end, so it becomes an adjective. That is what you have to keep in mind. So if I say superstition, right, it is a noun. But when I added IOUS at the end, so I have added a suffix to this word, right? So it has become an adjective now. So you need to understand that whenever we add a prefix to a word, the meaning gets changed, and whenever we add a suffix to a word, the meaning remains intact in a way, but only the standard form gets changed. That means if a word is a noun, it becomes an adjective, or probably if it is a verb, it might become an adjective or a participle. Making sense? So that is what you have to keep in mind. All right, so let me go to the next root word, and before that let me erase this for you. Okay, fine enough. Now the other one, you can say prefix is ambi, right? Now what is ambi? Ambi means on both the sides. Now let's try to figure out certain words with ambi. Ambi का मतलब होता है दोनों sides, on both the sides. Now there's another word which is dexter or dexterity. You can say dexter is a root word, or probably the word dexterity itself. So dexter has something to do with skill. Dexter has something to do with skill. Now if I give you a word ambidextrous, ambidextrous. Ambidextrous is a person who is equally skillful with both the hands. Now there's a person who is a right-handed person, there's a person who is a left-handed person, but there is a person who can write or do the things equally skillfully with both the hands. So ambi is on both the sides. Dexter is skillful. So one who is skillful with both the hands is an ambidextrous person. So this is how roots help us out to figure out the meanings. Making sense? Even if we do not know the meanings, but we know the roots. So we break down the word into different roots and we get to know about the meaning of the word. Right? So that was a means without as a prefix. Ambi means on both sides. Ambivalent, you say ambiguous. You say when you say there is an ambiguity in some, probably in some question, right, or in some answer. So if there's an ambiguity in that, so that means it's not clear. You are not really able to understand कि ये जो चीज है ये इधर जा रही है या इधर जा रही है. So probably it's unclear. You are not able to figure out इसका आंसर ये होना चाहिए कि ये होना चाहिए, right? So it's unclear. It's ambiguous. Making sense on both the sides. So that is how you can figure it out. Now another one is circum. Circum का मतलब आपको पता है जैसे circumference होता है. So circum is around. Making sense? So when you talk about the word loqua, last time if you remember we talked about the word loqua, the root word loqua, which means to speak. So if I give you the word circumlocute, if I say circumlocute, and there is one idiomatic expression also which all of you know, which is beating around the bush. So when you say beat around the bush, that means you're talking in a roundabout manner. You're not coming straight to the point, right? So when you say circumlocute, लोखवा मतलब बोलना, locute मतलब बोलना, and circum मतलब घुमा फिरा के. So you talk in a roundabout manner. Making sense? You're beating around the bush. That means you're circumlocuting. So circum is a prefix that you can use to figure out the meanings. And circumference, again, you know the circumference of the circle. Circumvent, circumspection, right? So circumspect का क्या मतलब आप speculate करते हो, right? तो that is circumspeculation or circumspect. ठीक है, so थोड़ा सा आप क्या कहते हैं, you are being a little suspicious, right? और आप बिल्कुल carefully ध्यान देते हो उस चीज पे, you're being vigilant, you're being watchful, you're being careful, so you become circumspect. Making sense? All right, moving ahead, then we have another one which is hypo. Hypo is another, you can say, prefix that you can use with the words. Now hypo का मतलब होता है under, है ना? हाइपर का मतलब होता है above, over, right? So when you say hypertension हो रहा है, बहुत ज्यादा टेंशन हो रहा है, right? Hypo, you say hypodermis. So if you all of you have obviously studied science till 10th class, so when you talk about the skin, so you say hypodermis, you say epidermis, you say mesodermis, right? So hypodermis या endodermis जो है, that is the lower layer of the skin, under the skin. Hypoderma means under the skin basically. Epi तो ऊपर वाला होगा, meso मतलब बीच वाला layer of the skin, right? So this is how you can figure out the, and mal, I have already told you, when you say benediction, you can say malediction, you can say malnutrition. Mal as a prefix means something bad, right? So when you say malnutrition, when you say malfeasance, malfeasance means some wrongdoing. Making sense? When you say, as I said, malediction, that means you are speaking something wrong for the other person, right? So you are cursing him or her. ठीक है, clear हो रहा है बेटा? All right, moving ahead, neo, N-E-O, neo as a prefix means something new, right? So there's a figure of speech also, neologism, right? Neologism क्या होता है कि when you coin some new as in term, जैसे आप slangs use करते हो ना, Gen Zs, they use some slangs or they use some as in Gen Z words जिनको हम बोलेंगे, for example, you say rids, right? So these are the words from your as in era, I would say. So neologism is that figure of speech जहाँ पे आप नए words को coin करते हो, ठीक है? All right, so neo is simply new. You can say neophyte. Neophyte is also maybe जो नई चीज है, right? So you say newborn, ठीक है? So that is new. Okay, pan. Pan का क्या मतलब है? Pan means everywhere. Pan as a prefix means everywhere, universal, all. Making sense? So when you say pan India का मतलब है जो हर जगह valid है. Now see, when you say pandemic, ठीक है? Pandemic. Pan is everywhere. Dem is people. So anything that's affecting people all over, across the globe, that is a pandemic. So all of you know that COVID-19 was a very good example. I would not say a good example, a bad example of it, right? So that is pandemic. So now poly as a prefix. Poly का क्या मतलब होता है? Poly means many, ठीक है? Mono का क्या मतलब है? Mono means single, ठीक है? Mono is single and poly is the opposite of it. So poly is many, right? So when you say monogamy, a person who has one wife. Polygamous person, a person who has more than one wife, is a polygamous person. So multiple marriages is polygamy, single marriage is monogamy. Making sense? All right, moving ahead. Now the next set is, again we will talk about some roots. Okay, ambule. Ambule का क्या मतलब होता है? अभी देखो, there is a root word ambule over here. Ambule means to walk. Ambule या amble, दोनों ही चीजें आप लिख सकते हो. It's A-M-B-U-L or it could also be taken as A-M-B-L-E. Amble or ambule, दोनों का मतलब क्या होता है? As a root word, it means to walk, right? So when you say, for example, there's a word which says, okay, there's a word. See, I'll give you one more. You can say root word, somn, S-O-M-N. S-O-M-N. Somn as a root word means to sleep, right? It's related with sleep. So when you say somnambulate, or you say somnambulism, or you say somnambulist, right? So a person who walks in his sleep is a somnambulist. The phenomenon, the process of sleepwalking is called somnambulism. Are you getting it? Making sense? So somn मतलब sleep हो गया, ambule मतलब walk हो गया. तो somnambulist मुझे नहीं पता. I do not know what a somnambulist. S-O-M-N-A-M-B-U-L-I-S-T. So I do not know what this word is, but yes, I can break it down and I can figure it out. कि somn तो sleep था as a root word, right? And ambule तो walk था as a root word. So somnambule, it has something to do with sleepwalking. So somnambulist is a person who walks in sleep. Somnambulism is the process or the phenomenon of sleepwalking. Making sense? So similarly, you can say somnoloquist. So loqua is speaking, somnoloquist. One who speaks in his sleep is a somnoloquist. Is it clear, students? So this is how root words are going to help us in I would say learning many words, in retaining many words in our head. And that is very important. And that's what I keep on telling in every class, that it's very important that how many words do you retain. Because at the end of the day, if you sit in an examination and if you are not able to, first, if you are not able to retain the words, and at that moment when you're sitting in the examination on the D-Day, if you're not able to recall the meanings of the words, what is the point doing maybe 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 words? Right? So these root words, I told you in the very first class, vocabulary ka class jab hum kar rahe the, I told you that how to enhance your vocabulary. One of the best ways is with the help of etymology. That means finding out the roots or the origin of the word. Right? So that is what we are doing today. Elaborate a little. Right? Okay. Then we have ambul humne kar liya. Then we have another root word as bell. So jahan pe bhi aapko word dikha bell, अगर आपको कहीं पे भी एक वर्ड दिख रहा है जो बेल से शुरू हो रहा है, BELL बेल से शुरू हो रहा है, तो yes, you should as in it should click your head, it should hit your head कि हाँ ये word तो it has something to do with war, because bell का मतलब ही होता है warlike. Bell means warlike as a root word. So when you say belligerent as a word, when you say bellicose as a word, I'll write down these words here. Belligerent, 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 or BELLICOSE, bellicose. Belligerent and bellicose, both the words relate with being aggressive, being ready to fight, or warlike. Making sense? Why? Because both the words begin with BELL. They have the root words BELL in them. Is it clear, students? All right. Now moving ahead, there is another root word which is cred. Right? So cred means basically देखो credit है, credibility है. So cred का मतलब होता है belief, right? So cred basically means belief or belief, right? As a noun also, as a verb also you can take it. So जहाँ पे भी cred आया, it has something to do with belief. Now we need to understand certain things over here. Let me use the eraser. Let me help you. Wait, let me erase these and let me help you. Thanks for bearing with me, students. Right? So we are on cred. So I told you cred as a root word means belief. Right? So now we have to understand there are so many words which we can begin with cred and which might have different meanings also. So we have to be very careful while using this word. So be all ears what I am trying to tell you today. Now, cred is belief. Now, there's a word credible. Please be all ears, be all eyes, right? And just try to understand. There's a word credible and there's a word credulous. Now, in both the words, the root word cred is there, CRED, cred. दोनों ही words में cred आपको दिख रहा है. So दोनों ही words का मतलब कुछ न कुछ belief से related है, faith से related है. Making sense? Now, when you say credible is a person who you can trust. Right? If I can trust anybody, so he's a credible person or she is a credible person. Why? Because probably that person is, you can say, smart enough, he is shrewd enough. आजकल के ज़माने के हिसाब से है, so that is why he's trustworthy. I trust him because I know that he or she is going to come up with some solution, or probably if I as in confide something in him or her, he's not going to tell anybody. He's going to take care of everything in a very, you can say, as I said, in a very clever manner, in a very cunning manner. He knows what to do, what not. He's a smart person. Making sense? Credible है. जो smart है, जो credible है, जो smart है, वही trustworthy हो सकता है. Especially when you talk about today's world, right? On the other hand, there's a word credulous. Again, cred is a root word over here. पर credulous का क्या मतलब होता है? Credulous is a person who trusts anybody very easily. So these are two different words. Please understand what I'm trying to say. Credible is a person whom you trust. Credulous is a person who trusts you. Are you getting it? So credulous is that person who is very simple, who is very naive, right? Who is a gullible, guileless kind of a person. So he trusts anybody and everybody like anything. Making sense? तो बहुत ही एक सीधा साधा सा इंसान है, एक बहुत ही नाइव सा इंसान है जो क्रेडुलस है, और जो क्रेडिबल है वो स्मार्ट इंसान है, उस पे लोग विश्वास करते हैं, और क्रेडुलस जो है वो लोगों पे विश्वास करता है. Are you getting it? So in a way, credible and credulous, both of them have belief in them as root word, but both of them in a way are opposites. Credible is a smart person, making sense, जिस पे आप ट्रस्ट करते हो. Credulous is a very simple person जो आप पे ट्रस्ट करता है. Are you getting it? So you have to be very careful with this. All right. Okay, now moving ahead to the next one, dict. We have already done this. Dict means to speak. So, आप dictionary बोल लो, आप diction बोल लो, आप benediction बोल लो, आप malediction बोल लो. So, there are so many words with dict. And whenever you come across this root word dict, this means that it has to do, the word has to do something with speaking and talking. Now coming to graph and gram, जहाँ पे भी आपको graph दिखेगा और gram दिखेगा, definitely it has to do something with writing. You say graphology, right? So graphology, ology is ology, right? Ology is the study or science. So study of handwriting is graphology, right? So this is how you can figure out the meanings. Then phone, phone, phone. देखो फोन से याद रखो, फोन पे आप क्या करते हो, बातें करते हो ना, राइट? तो फोन पे कई बार साउंड नहीं आ रही, कीप ऑन सेइंग हेलो हेलो हेलो, साउंड नहीं आ रही है, राइट? सो phon फोन as a root word means sound. photo, photo as a root word means light. So this is what I'm saying. There are many root words which we know because from the very outset we have been as in using these words and we have come to know about it कि हाँ photo का कुछ ना कुछ लेना देना light से है. Photosynthesis we have already studied, right? All of us know what is photosynthesis, how the plants make their food with the help of photosynthesis, with the help of chlorophyll, the pigment that they have in their leaves, right? So photosynthesis से हमें पता चला photo light है, ठीक है? फोन जो है, फोन का मतलब फोनेटिक्स आप बोलते हो ना, सो इट्स अ गेम ऑफ साउंड्स, है ना, फनीम्स जो हम यूज करते हैं. देयर आर मॉर्फीम्स, देयर आर फनीम्स, राइट? सो जो हमारे साउंड्स होते हैं कुछ लेटर्स के एंड ऑल्सो दीज आर फनीम्स. मेकिंग सेंस? तो फोनेटिक्स, सो समथिंग टू डू विद फोन, फोन मतलब साउंड. मेकिंग सेंस? क्लियर हो रहा है? सो फोन जहां पे भी आया दैट मीन्स कुछ ना कुछ इस वर्ड का लेना देना साउंड से है. ऑलराइट, दैट फोटो आई ऑलरेडी टोल्ड यू, PHOTO, फोटो का मतलब लाइट होता है. Then you have morph, right? Metamorphosis. You know what is metamorphosis? तो morph का क्या मतलब है? Morph means change, right? Pictures morph होती हैं आजकल, so we have to be very vigilant. We have to be very careful. ठीक है, तो morph का मतलब transformation, change. Making sense? All right. Then you have some more root words. Anima, anima, ANIMA. Anima का क्या मतलब होता है? It means soul. ठीक है, जैसे आप बोलते हैं animate objects. You say animate. We are all animate because we are all humans, है ना? तो हम animate हैं क्योंकि हम में soul है, हमें जान है, life है. So we are animate. So when you say inanimate, आप बोलते हो inanimate. Inanimate का क्या मतलब है? Now again, see, try to understand. Anima इसमें root word है. Anima means soul or life, right? आपने यहाँ पे in prefix लगा दिया. You put a prefix in before this word animate. So animate would be having life. Anima because itself means life, so animate is having life. So when you say inanimate, you put a prefix in over here, and I told you when you use the prefix before a root word, what does happen to the word? It changes its meaning. So animate मतलब जिसमें जान है, inanimate मतलब जिसमें जान नहीं है. So non-living things are called inanimate objects. Making sense, students? All right, moving ahead, then there is a root word cron. क्रोनोलॉजी आप सबको पता है ना? तो क्रोन का मतलब होता है टाइम. So when you say chronology, so you're talking about the sequence of events as per the time they have taken place. ठीक है? So cron का मतलब टाइम है, CHRON, cron, and there's another root word which is chrome, CHROME. Let me write it over here. CHROME, chrome. तो chrome का क्या मतलब है? Chrome का मतलब है कलर, right? So see, you know. You wear those goggles, right? तो आप फोटोक्रोमैटिक लेंस पहनते हो, पॉलीक्रोमैटिक लेंस पहनते हो, आप मोनोक्रोमैटिक पहनते हो. तो मोनोक्रोम सिंगल कलर, पॉलीक्रोम पॉलीक्रोमैटिक मेनी कलर्स because poly is many, mono is single. Are you getting it? And chrome is related to color. Okay, then we move to dem. Dem or demo as a root word means, जैसे आप demonstrate करते हो ना, तो आप बोलते हो demo means to demonstrate. Now where do you demonstrate? You demonstrate in front of the audience. तो आप किसी ना किसी के सामने demonstrate करोगे ना, तो dem has something to do with people. So dem means people as a root word. So when you say, for example, democracy. So cracy as a word, root word means rule. CRACY. Cracy means rule. Dem means people. Rule of people is democracy, right? So dem has to do with dem is a root word for people. So as I said, pandemic. Pan is everywhere. Dem is people. COVID-19 affected people across, right, all over the globe. मेकिंग सेंस, तब तो उसको पैंडेमिक बोलते हैं, जो हर जगह लोगों को इम्पैक्ट कर रहा था. Okay, derma has something to do with skin, right? So derma is a root word for skin. Dermatologist आपको पता है कौन होते हैं, right? Dermatology, dermatologist, right? So skin doctors को हम dermatologists कहते हैं, and that is why I said endodermis, epidermis, mesodermis, hypodermis. Derma is skin. All right, theo. अब देखो, theo is a root word for God or religion. Theo, theo is a root word for God or religion. Now we need to understand one thing over here. अगर theo का God या religion से लेना देना है, so there is a word theist, 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 theist. Theist का क्या मतलब होता है? Now theist is a person who believes in God. जो भगवान में विश्वास करते हैं उनको हम थीस्ट बुलाते हैं, एंड थीस्ट बेसिकली हिंदी में बोले तो आस्तिक जिनको आप बोलते हैं. Right now, again, I'll add a prefix over here and I will add a prefix over here. So by adding the prefix, we'll change the meaning of the word. By adding this suffix, we'll change the standard form, the part of speech of a word, right? But by adding the prefix, we'll change the what? We'll change the meaning of the word. So theist का मतलब है one who believes in God. Atheist, a means not, and a means not or without. So atheist मतलब who does not believe in God. Nastic. Theist is astic and atheist is nastic. This much is clear, students, right? Now there is one more word. Please be very careful what I am writing over here. There is one more word which is agnostic. Students, be very careful. Agnostic, agnostic. I'm not very sure whether you'll be able to see this, although when you zoom it, you'll be able to see it. But still, I'm giving the spellings also. agnostic. Agnostic is a word for a person who does not believe in the existence of God. Now, there's a difference between atheist and agnostic. Atheist says, I don't believe in God. Agnostic says, I do not believe in his existence only. I feel that he doesn't exist at all. So if something doesn't exist, why should I believe in him? Making sense? So there's a thin line between the two. Clear hai bachcha log? Alright, so moving ahead. So this was about some of the root words, some of the prefixes that we did. And this slide told you कि कितना easy हो रहा है आपके लिए ना चीजों को करना. मुझे थियो पता है, थियो जहां आया मुझे पता है it has something to do with religion or God. मुझे chrome पता है, जहां chrome आया I know it has something to do with color. Bene जहां पे आया I know it has something to do with what? Bene and born, both. When, bene, born. It means something good. So when you say bona fide, fid is also a root word for faith. So when you say bona fide certificates आपको दी जाती है ना school से. When you maybe you get transferred to some other place and the other school asks for the bona fide certificate कि भाई ये student पक्का किसी school में पढ़ता था ना, कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं कुछ fraud word है. So in good faith, right? So bona is also good, ben is also good, bene is also good. Making sense? So when you come across the meanings of these root words, it's very easy for you to figure out the meaning of the entire word, especially when you get the meaning of the word from the context. Are you getting it, students? Alright, so let me go to the next slide now. चलिए जी, नेक्स्ट स्लाइड में विल टॉक अबाउट द एक्सरसाइज. तो अगर आप स्टूडेंट्स देखेंगे जो हमारा BA1 का फर्स्ट एक्सरसाइज है, फर्स्ट एक्सरसाइज का जो डायरेक्शंस है, द डायरेक्शंस से दैट यू हैव टू फिगर आउट द मीनिंग ऑफ दीज वर्ड्स, the words that are written on the left hand side. You have to figure out the meaning of these words with the help of roots, because we have right now done certain roots. So with the help of those roots you have to figure out the meaning of these words. अब देखो ये first word है perennial, ठीक है, perennial. अब इसको हम ब्रेक करेंगे. we'll try to break this word. So per, पर, अभी हमने देखा पर मतलब everywhere, पर मतलब all, पर मतलब through, per, पर, right? and annual का मतलब होता है एक साल, ठीक है. but there is a root word ENN over here, ठीक है. per, पर इसका prefix है, ENN root word है, and ENN as a root word means year, 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 ठीक है. कितने साल हमें नहीं पता. ENN as a root word means साल, YEAR, year, right? अब देखो, आप बोलते हो 1000 years, right? अब बोलते हो 100 years. So 100 मतलब cent, so centennial मतलब 100 years. देखो इसको ऐसे लिखते हैं. Let me write it over here. CENTENNIAL. So if I remember the root word for year, which is ENN, I will never ever as in write the incorrect spelling of centennial. क्योंकि अगर आप देखोगे आईपी मैट एग्जामिनेशन में तो स्पेलिंग्स जनरली नहीं आते हैं, देयर आर सम अदर एग्जाम्स आल्सो व्हिच यू विल बी सिटिंग फॉर, राइट? सो जैसे सीयूटी के एग्जाम में आप देखोगे स्पेलिंग्स आते हैं. सो इफ देयर इज अ वर्ड सेंटिनियल, सो प्रोबेबली देयर माइट बी सम स्टूडेंट्स जो CENTENIAL लिखेंगे, बट ऑल दो स्टूडेंट्स हु नो दैट ENN इज अ रूट वर्ड फॉर ईयर, तो आप ये स्पेलिंग कभी भी गलत नहीं कर सकते, बिकॉज इफ इट इज 100 years, so you have to write ENN. Making sense? Similarly, millennium. Millennium means 1000 years. तो millennium का spelling अगर पूछा जाए, so most of the students write it like MILLENIUM, but that's a wrong spelling. Why? Now I know, because ENN is year. So when I'm talking about 1000 years, I say million का MINN or NENN, millennium, ENNIUM. Is that clear, students? तो देखो आपका स्पेलिंग भी ठीक हो रहा है, ठीक है, आपको मीनिंग भी मिल रहा है. सो हाउ यूजफुल दीज रूट वर्ड्स आर फॉर यू. सो पेरिनियल का क्या मतलब है? नाउ यू नो द मीनिंग ऑफ पेरिनियल मीन्स लास्टिंग थ्रू इयर्स, ठीक है, जो हर साल साल पर साल चलता रहे, दैट इज कॉल्ड पेरिनियल. सो यू रेड अबाउट पेरिनियल क्रॉप्स, राइट? साल पर साल चलते रहे. देयर आर बायएनियल क्रॉप्स जो हर 2 साल के बाद आते हैं, राइट? By means twice, है ना, या 2, N means year. So after every 2 years जो crops उगते हैं उनको हम biennial crops कहते हैं. Are you getting it? So this is how you can yourself realize कि कितना easy हो रहा है हमारे लिए. Now another word is misanthrope. Now misanthrope में let's break this word. So mis as a prefix means hatred or hate, and anthropos as a root word means mankind. So anybody who hates mankind is a misanthropist. ठीक है, तो मिसैंथ्रोप या मिसैंथ्रोपिस्ट हम किसको कहेंगे? Hater of humankind को, hater of mankind को. One who hates mankind is a misanthrope. Now one who loves mankind, phil is a word, root word which is used for love. PHIL, phil or PHILE, phile. दोनों ही root words love के लिए use होते हैं. So when you say philanthropist or philanthrope, one who loves mankind, and that is why probably he does charity and all, है ना, donations देते हैं, charity करते हैं, because he works for the social welfare of the people. He loves to work for the social welfare of the people. Why? Because he loves mankind. So that is why he's a philanthrope. On the other hand, if there's a person who doesn't love mankind, he becomes a misanthrope. Clear है बच्चा लोग? Alright, so autonomous को आप break करेंगे तो auto का क्या मतलब होता है? Auto means self and nomos means name or rule. So autonomous is a self-governed state probably. So governed by self is autonomous. Clear है? Bellicose. So we have done bell का क्या मतलब है? Bell means warlike, it means aggressive, it means hostile, it means unfriendly, right? So bellicose has something to do with war, right? क्योंकि हमने करा था कि bell का मतलब warlike होता है, so bellicose means hostile, unfriendly, aggressive. Alright, moving ahead, incognito. अब देखो incognito को अगर हम if we break this word down, so cog or cognition. Cognition means when you know something, when you're aware of something. Conscious आपका है, आप conscious हो, right? So you know something, you're doing it consciously. ठीक है, you're aware of doing something. That is cognition. Cog is the root word, basically cognition we can take. So in हमने prefix लगा दिया. Making sense? So incognito opposite बन गया इसका. Now incognito का क्या मतलब है? Not knowing, right? आप incognito मोड में अपना as a browsers पे जाते हो ना, है ना? तो इनकॉग्निटो मतलब कॉन्शियस से हाइड कर रहे हो आप किसी चीज को. यू आर हाइडिंग इट फ्रॉम योर कॉन्शियस, राइट? सो इट्स हिडन, नॉट नोइंग, राइट? सो अननोन, दैट इज कॉल्ड इनकॉग्निटो, हिडन और अननोन. Is that clear, students? Now we have another word over here. This is your exercise VA1 that we are doing. So we have another word, egomania. Again, we can break down this word into 2 parts. Ego means I and mania means obsession. Phobia means डर, fear, and mania is the opposite of phobia. Mania means obsession. जब आपको वो चीज करने का obsession होता है कोई, ठीक है? So when you say egomania, so you are obsessed with yourself. So ego का मतलब I है, obsession का mania का मतलब obsession है. So I am obsessed with myself. So I am an egomaniac. Making sense? So obsession with oneself is called egomania. Next we have metamorphosis. Again we can break it down. Morph का मतलब होता है change, transformation, अभी हमने करा था पीछे. And meta का मतलब होता है beyond, right? So when you're changing the shape beyond certain this thing, so उसको हम बोलते हैं metamorphosis. जैसे आप देखते हो butterflies में भी metamorphosis होती है from a very early stage till it grows into an into a butterfly. All right, next we have novella. अब देखो novella में जो है एक root word है nov. ठीक है, nov का मतलब होता है नया, new, और it also means a narrative. Making sense? So novella is basically एक छोटी novel. ठीक है, a short novel is called novella. Novel आपको पता है क्या होती है, और उसी novel का जो short form होता है उसको हम novella कहते हैं. Right? Then another one is pseudonym. Now pseudo as a root word means something false, something fake, and nym का मतलब होता है name or meaning. जैसे आपने बोला synonym. Sin का मतलब similar, nym का मतलब meaning, similar meaning, synonym. Antonym, anti का मतलब opposite, nym का मतलब meaning, opposite meaning, antonym. Making sense? Similarly, you have pseudonym. Pseudo मतलब false and nym मतलब name, false name. So you might have seen there are so many authors who do not write with their own names, who have given themselves a different name, a pen name you say. ना जिसको आप pen name बोलते हैं, जो author अपने आप को देता है, तखल्लुस जिसको हम बोलते हैं ना उर्दू में, right? So that is called a pseudonym, a false name. That's not the real name of the person. And then we have already done this word apathy. Apathy is feelings, means no, without, not, without any feelings, having no feelings. So an indifferent person is an apathetic person. Clear here, students? Right? So this was the first list in your VA1 exercise 1. Now this is another list. Let me go to the other list. All right. Now there's another word, polytheism. आप देखो, theo क्या था? Theo क्या था? Religion or God. Poly क्या था? Many. So one who believes in many gods is a polytheist, and belief in many gods is called polytheism, right? Because poly is many and theo is God or religion. So when you believe in different gods or different religions, you are a polytheist. Circumlocution we've already done. Roundabout speaking, when you speak in a roundabout manner, right? Circum का मतलब around, lokwa का मतलब speak. Fine. Hypodermic, so we've already done this. Hypo का मतलब होता है under, derma का मतलब होता है skin. Under the skin is hypodermic. Clear है? Malediction, mele is something bad, diction is something speaking, something related to speaking. So when you talk something negative or bad about somebody, you're cursing him or her. So malediction is a curse basically. Pandemic, we have already done. Pan means everywhere, dem means people. So among all people, it affects all people, right? Pan ka matlab everywhere, demo ka matlab people. Clear hai, students? Alright, now next we have bibliophile. Phil or file is love, that's what I told you. So we can break this word down into two parts. Excuse me. File or fill is love. Biblio is related to books. So anybody who loves books is a bibliophile. Lover of books or book lover is a bibliophile. ठीक है, तो ये देखो यहाँ पे root words में हमने इसको break करा है word को. Pedagogue. Now see, pedagogue. Ped as a root word. Ped means children. Pediatrician, है ना? Pediatrician is one who a doctor of children is called pediatrician. So ped is children. Gog means leader. Pet का मतलब क्या होता है? Child or children. And gog का मतलब होता है leader. So pedagogue is basically the leader of the children. So who is the leader of the children? One who teaches them, one who mentors them, one who instructs them to probably do the right things, right? So teacher को हम pedagogue बोलेंगे. आप बोलते हो ना pedagogy क्या है? आपका यूनिवर्सिटी का pedagogy क्या है? आपके स्कूल का pedagogy क्या है? तो pedagogy is the method of teaching basically. Making sense? So pedagogue is the leader of the children. That means the teacher. All right, students. So next word is perambulate. Per का मतलब है through, right? Per का मतलब है through, all, everywhere. And ambule or amble as a word, as a root word is walk. So perambulate का मतलब होता है who walks aimlessly, who walks around. Making sense? So aimless wandering जिसको हम बोलते हैं, that is called perambulate. Alright, so next one is armory. Armory में आप देखोगे तो armory में arms है. ARM, arm आपका root word है. So you know what are arms, right? Arms and ammunition जो आप बोलते हैं. So a storehouse for, you can say, ammunition. A storehouse for arms is called armory. इसको आप arsenal भी कहते हो. Right, students? So this was your first exercise in your VA1, IPMAT VA1. Alright, now let's talk about something else. Now let's talk about some foreign words. Which In the very first class, I gave you an idea about it. But today, again, we'll talk a little more about the foreign terms and the foreign words. और आप एक चीज का ध्यान रखेंगे, foreign words को हम we call them loan words also, we call them borrowed words also. Why? Because we have borrowed these words from a different language, from some different languages, right? Now here we are talking about English as a language, and हम English पढ़ रहे हैं यहाँ पे. English as a language की अगर हम बात करेंगे, so English as a language has borrowed so many different terms and words from different languages. Right now, my question over here goes to the students that why do we learn these foreign words? Why do we learn these borrowed words? What is the purpose? What is the need rather? ठीक है, अभी देखो इसका एक सिंपल सा आंसर है. अगर see, if I talk about myself, right? So I know Hindi very well. Being an Indian, everybody knows Hindi very well. So हमें हिंदी आती है, ठीक है. हो सकता है हमारा मदर टंग हिंदी है तो हम हिंदी में बात करते हैं. But see what happens at times. Even if you are talking in your mother tongue, there might be certain phrases or certain words, right, which you want to express in your mother tongue, but you don't find an appropriate word or a phrase for that particular word. है ना, आप अपने भाषा में बात कर रहे हैं और आपको कुछ बोलना है, पर आपको एक appropriate word और phrase नहीं मिल पा रहा है उस expression का. So what do? You resort to probably using it from a different language. है ना, कि हम क्या करते हैं जनरली, whenever we speak, we never speak in Hindi. शुद्ध हिंदी में हम कभी बात ही नहीं करते हैं. We speak in English. So why? Because there are certain words probably we do not know. One thing is that we are oblivious of it. We are not aware of those words, right? Another thing is that we don't have any expressions in our own language to express those words or phrases, right? So same happened with English as a language. So they might have found that कुछ एक words और phrases ऐसे जो हमारी language में हैं ही नहीं. Right? So what did they started doing? They started borrowing the words from the different languages, and that is how all these words which we study in English from different languages, चाहे वो Latin है, चाहे वो French है, चाहे वो Greek है, चाहे वो Italian है, Spanish है, even Hindi है, right? So we study all these words. Why? Because these words have now been accepted by English language. तो ये वर्ड्स वही वाले वर्ड्स है जो इंग्लिश एज अ लैंग्वेज ने एक्सेप्ट करे. वी कैनॉट स्टडी ईच एंड एवरी लैटिन टर्म, वी डोंट स्टडी ईच एंड एवरी फ्रेंच टर्म. We study all those French terms and Latin terms which are accepted by English as a language. Are you getting it, students? So that's very important for all of you. So the global lexicon, we are talking about the linguistic geography, and we are talking about the borrowed words, the loan words. So let's talk about some Latin terms over here. अभी देखो पहला word, the first word over here is ad hoc, which is a Latin term, right? So what is ad hoc? Ad hoc means for some special purpose, on a temporary basis, for some special purpose. When as in you appoint a person in a company, or you appoint a person in a university, or you appoint a person in a hospital in the absence of somebody else, right, for that special purpose, for the temporary period of time, you call it on ad hoc basis, right? The second word, Latin term ही है. So we are doing the Latin terms first, Latin quadrants. All right, so alma mater. Alma mater. अब देखो alma mater. If you go to this word literally, अगर आप literal meaning के हिसाब से जाओगे, ठीक है, mater, metri और mater means mother, petri और pater means father, right? So mater का क्या मतलब है? mother. alma का मतलब होता है nourishing. So nourishing mother is alma mater. अब nourishing mother का क्या मतलब है? जो हमारा स्कूल है, जो हमारा कॉलेज है, जो हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी है, ठीक है, उन्होंने हमें नरिश करा है, and that is why we become successful in our lives, because they have a huge role to play in our lives. So they are like the nourishing mothers. कौन? Our universities, our schools, or our you can say colleges, of which we are the alumni, जहाँ से हम निकले हैं, ठीक है. तो फॉर्मर स्कूल को या फॉर्मर कॉलेज या फॉर्मर यूनिवर्सिटी को हम क्या बोलते हैं? alma mater कहते हैं. So whichever is your former college or university or school, that is your alma mater, and that's a Latin term. Now another one is bona fide, which I was talking about. Bona fide means in good faith, right? Bon is good, fit is faith. So in good faith. In good faith means without any fraud. Making sense? Then the next one is caveat emptor. Caveat, C-A-V-E-A-T. Caveat is a word, Latin term, which means warning. ठीक है, caveat का सिंपल मतलब है warning. And caveat emptor. Caveat emptor का मतलब होता है buyers beware. That means it's a warning for the buyer that whatever he or she is purchasing, he or she is responsible for purchasing it. So he or she should be aware of what he is purchasing. जैसे आप कहीं भी चूहे के मारने की दवाई ले रहे हो, ठीक है, आपको ऐसे नहीं मिलती है वो. Why? Because the chemist doesn't know कि आप किसके लिए यूज कर रहे हो, चूहों के लिए यूज कर रहे हो, अपने लिए यूज कर रहे हो, right? So making sense. So as a buyer also, I should know that what I am buying, and as a seller also, the seller should know what he is selling, and that is why without the prescriptions you won't get certain medicines. ठीक है, अगर आप कुछ मेडिसिन ऐसे लेते हो जो स्लीपिंग ड्रग्स होते हैं या कुछ ऐसा, सो केमिस्ट आपको कभी भी वो ड्रग्स नहीं देंगे. व्हाई? बिकॉज ही वांट्स द प्रिस्क्रिप्शन फॉर दैट, बिकॉज ही इज अ सेलर, ही नोज दैट आई एम अ रिस्पांसिबल सिटीजन ऑफ द कंट्री, आई शुड नो व्हाट आई एम सेलिंग. सो केवियट एम्प्टोर का मतलब होता है लेट द बायर बी वेयर, एंड देयर इज अनदर टर्म व्हिच इज केवियट वेंडर. केवियट वेंडर which means let the seller beware, let the seller beware. So let the seller be aware of what he or she is selling. ठीक है, तो केवियट मतलब वार्निंग. ये दोनों के लिए एक वार्निंग है, बायर के लिए भी सेलर के लिए भी. आप क्या खरीद रहे हो और आप क्या बेच रहे हो, यू आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर इट. मूविंग अहेड, नाउ वी हैव मोडस ऑपरेंडी. राइट, नाउ मोडस ऑपरेंडी का देखो क्या मतलब है. मोडस मींस मोड ऑफ, ऑपरेंडी मींस ऑपरेशंस. राइट, so mode of operation, method of doing something, right? Method of doing something is called modus operandi. Now there's another term which is called modus vivendi. Again a Latin term, modus vivendi. M-O-D-U-S-V-I-V-E-N-D-I, modus vivendi. So from here you should get to know that V-I-V, viv. V-I-V, viv as a root word means life. ठीक है, सो जब आप मोडस विवेंडी, दैट इज मोड ऑफ लाइफ, वे ऑफ लाइफ. मोडस ऑपरेंडी इज मोड ऑफ ऑपरेशंस एंड मोडस विवेंडी इज मोड ऑफ लाइफ, वे ऑफ लिविंग. इज दैट क्लियर स्टूडेंट्स? नाउ द अनदर टर्म इज क्विड प्रो को. क्विड प्रो को, टिट फॉर टैट. टिट फॉर टैट थोड़ा सा नेगेटिव कॉनोटेशन में यूज होता है. क्विड प्रो को का मतलब होता है अ फेवर इन एक्सचेंज ऑफ अ फेवर. ठीक है, फेवर फॉर फेवर. जैसे बार्टर सिस्टम में होता था ना, बार्टर सिस्टम में व्हाट डू यू यूज टू डू, आप मुझे चीनी दो, मैं आपको चावल दूंगा. सो अ फेवर इन एक्सचेंज ऑफ अ फेवर, दैट इज क्विड प्रो को. मेकिंग सेंस? देन यू हैव नेक्स्ट टर्म एज वॉक्स पॉपुलाई. वॉक्स का मतलब होता है वॉइस, पॉपुलाई का मतलब होता है पॉपुलेशन, पीपल. वॉइस ऑफ पीपल इज कॉल्ड वॉक्स पॉपुलाई. Alright students, so these were certain Latin terms. Now we'll move to some French words. Alright, the first term is avant-garde. Avant-garde का मतलब होता है something that is radically new. That is called avant-garde. Then you have coup, C-O-U-P, C-O-U-P. The pronunciation is coup, or you can also call it coup d'état, D-E-T-A-T. Right? So coup d'état or coup, इसका मतलब होता है change of government, forceful change of government, reversal of government. तख्ता पलट जिसको आप बोलते हैं, that is coup d'état. Right? And French में there is no t का sound, there is no d का sound. You have t का sound and d का sound instead of t and d. So you will not say as in anything that has t and d in it, you have to pronounce it as t and d. Making sense? That is one thing, and I have as in come across this thing that most of the times you will find that there are certain words which are silent. There are certain letters which are silent in the French word. जैसे C-O-U-P है, कूप हम इसको पढ़ेंगे, पर ये कूप नहीं है, ये कू है, P silent है. Right? Now the next term is faux pas. F-A-U-X-P-A-S. F-A-U-X-P-A-S. X is silent, S is silent, so the pronunciation is faux pas. Faux pas मतलब एक socially committed blunder. When you're sitting in a social gathering and you commit a mistake, you commit a blunder. जूस पीते पीते आपने जूस अपने कपड़ों पे गिरा दिया, so this is a faux pas. ठीक है, तो उसको हम बोलते हैं faux pas in French. Social blunder को faux pas in French कहते हैं. Joy de vivre. Now another term is joy de vivre. Vivre, I told you, vivendi में अभी मैंने आपको बताया, V-I-V, viv is something to do with life, right? So when you say joy de vivre, it is joy of life. So I am happy that I am living. I am happy that I exist. So joy de vivre, joy of life. Is that clear? Next term is déjà vu. You know what is déjà vu? A very common term. When you feel that you have experienced this thing earlier, also it's a feeling of déjà vu. Is that clear, students? Now coming to the German quadrant, right? तो पहला word जो German में हम देखेंगे, that is K-I-T-S-C-H. The pronunciation is kitsch. Kitsch का मतलब होता है of low quality, of poor quality. राइट, जो बहुत ही चीप सा लगता है. जैसे आप कोई गॉडी ड्रेसिंग सेंस है आपकी, ठीक है, आप गॉडी ड्रेसेस पहनते हो, फ्लैशी ड्रेसेस पहनते हो, आप इंटरव्यू में जा रहे हो मजेंटा कलर का सूट पहन के, राइट? सो दैट लुक्स वेरी पुअर, एज इन दैट लुक्स वेरी लो, दैट लुक्स वेरी मतलब लो क्वालिटी का लगता है, दैट लुक्स वेरी चीप, राइट? सो दैट इज कॉल्ड kitsch and that's a German term. Now we have real politic. Real politic का मतलब होता है politics of realism, that's called real politic. Another one is angst. Angst का मतलब होता है anxiety, worry, apprehension. ANGST, angst, right? Next word is kindergarten, KG, UKG, upper KG है ना, LKG, lower KG. So KG क्या है? Kindergarten. Garten is garden. Kinder is children. Garden of children is kindergarten. So what is kindergarten? It's a play school basically, जहाँ पे बच्चे खेलते हैं, बच्चों का गार्डन. रक्सैक, अ वेरी कॉमन वर्ड, यू नो रक्सैक का क्या मतलब होता है, ठीक है, जो आपका बैकपैक है, शोल्डर बैग, दैट्स कॉल्ड रक्सैक. सो ऑल दीज आर जर्मन टर्म्स एंड नाउ we'll talk about some Italian and Spanish terms. So first I'll talk about some Italian terms. So you have fiasco, again a very common word which we use commonly in English, fiasco, but its origin is from Italian, right? So it is basically an Italian word. तो fiasco का मतलब होता है complete failure, disaster, right? So that is called fiasco. Then you have nepotism. Nepotism, you know, favoritism, everybody knows what nepotism is. इसका भी Italian you can say origin है. And then you have prima donna. Prima donna, देखो, प्राइमा मतलब प्राइम, चीफ, मेन, डोना मतलब लेडी. जो ओपेरा में जो फीमेल सिंगर, लीड फीमेल सिंगर होती है बेसिकली, उसको हम प्राइमा डोना कहते हैं. सो लीडिंग सिंगर इन एन ओपेरा इज कॉल्ड प्राइमा डोना. Making sense? So all these three words, they are of the Italian origin. And now we have next three words. Aficionado. Aficionado has come from which language? It has come from Spanish language. ठीक है, तो एफिशियोनाडो का मतलब होता है एक एडमायरर आपका, एक फैन आपका, ठीक है, उसको हम एफिशियोनाडो कहते हैं. ब्रवाडो. ब्रवाडो इज अनदर टर्म, स्पेनिश टर्म. Bravado का मतलब has something to do with bravery, right? Bravado, bravo, right? But bravery and bravo is used in positive connotation, right? Bravado is basically false bravery. Making sense, students? All right, moving ahead. Desperado. Desperado means a criminal, a person who is foolish enough to, as in get, he always gets indulged in some risky situations, in some criminal activities. So he's desperate enough to get involved in some criminal and risky situations, right? So he is a desperado. Clear hai? So these were some words from different quadrants of the globe, right? We can talk about some Hindi words also. मैं ऐसे आपको कुछ Hindi words बताती हूँ, जैसे veranda है. You can use this word also, and you can see this word in many of the texts. Veranda आपको पता है, बरामदा जिसको आप बोलते हो. आप ऐसे समझ लो, जो ग्राउंड फ्लोर का जो बालकनी है उसको हम बरामदा कहते हैं, because we used to have those big huge houses जहाँ पे आगे बरामदा होता था, veranda जिसको हम बोलते हैं. And it has been taken by English as a language. It has been accepted by English as a language. So you can find this Hindi word veranda in English, right? And you can also talk about jungle. Jungle book आपने देखा है, तो jungle को हम English में forest बोलते हैं. But this word jungle has been accepted by English language. तो हिंदी जो है, हिंदी is a foreign language for English also, right? तो jungle को भी हमने accept कर लिया. अब आप देखिए, there's a word shampoo, right? Shampoo also has Hindi origin. ठीक है, इफ यू हैव हर्ड ऑफ दिस टर्म इन हिंदी, चंपी जिसको हम बोलते हैं. चंपी मीन्स यू डू द चंपी ऑफ, तेल मालिश करते हो, अब अपने बालों की चंपी करते हो, राइट? सो चंपी को ऐसे ही चाइनीज विस्पर बना बना के चंपी का चंपू हो गया, चंपू का शैम्पू हो गया, राइट? एंड इट इज सेड दैट बेसिकली ब्रिटिशर्स भी बहुत अच्छे से प्रोनाउंस नहीं कर पाते थे हमारे वर्ड्स को. सो आई वुड से दैट yes, they have distorted a lot of our things, right, including language also. So चंपी करते करते वो शैम्पू बन गया. सो शैम्पू ऑल्सो हैज हिंदी ओरिजिन, राइट? यू हैव योगा. योगा हैज कम फ्रॉम संस्कृत योग, and we do use yoga in English. So these all words have been accepted by English as a language, right, students? So ये था आपका foreign words. अब हम आ जाते हैं foreign words की exercise पे. Right now, question number 21 to 25 in the first exercise, they are based on your foreign words. तो आपसे पूछा गया है इनका मतलब. तो antebellum का क्या मतलब है? आप देखो, ante as a prefix, A-N-T-I, ante as a prefix is against or opposite, but ante as a prefix is before. A-N-T-E, ante as a prefix is before. Now bell is war, right? So bellum का मतलब war है, ante का मतलब before है. तो करेक्ट आंसर क्या था? ऑप्शन सी, बिफोर द वॉर. सो यू मस्ट हैव द हैंडआउट्स विद यू इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू. सो क्वेश्चन नंबर 21 का आंसर इज बिफोर द वॉर. एंटेबेलम, एंटे मतलब बिफोर, बेलम मतलब वॉर, बिफोर द वॉर इज एंटेबेलम. ऑलराइट, क्वेश्चन नंबर 22 वाज ad valorem. Ad valorem का मतलब होता है as per the value, right? Then you have bellum lethal. Bellum is again war. Lethal is lethal. Lethal मतलब deadly. So a deadly war is bellum lethal. right? De jure का मतलब होता है by the legal right, and then you have ex officio. Ex officio has nothing to do with ex, ठीक है, former नहीं. Ex officio means something that you get by virtue of office, जो आपको ऑफिस की तरफ से कोई चीज मिलती है because of your designation or position, that is called ex officio, right? Now moving ahead, now question number 26 onwards till 30 was based on your one word substitution, right? अगर आप देखोगे उसमें the first as in term was somebody who hates spending money. Somebody who hates money नहीं, somebody who hates spending money. He loves money but he hates spending it. तो कौन होगा? वो कंजूस होगा, right? So miser is the correct word, ठीक है. Alright, on the other hand, spendthrift is a person who loves to spend money, right? Extravagant एकदम, ठीक है, जिसको अच्छा लगता है पैसा खर्च करना. Alright, next 27th question, sleeping rooms in an institution. All of you know because आप शायद हॉस्टल में रहे हैं या नहीं रहे हैं, तो रहने वाले हैं. The dormitory is the correct answer to this. Question number 28 was appointed to attend conference. So the answer is delegate, definitely yes. Slow in learning. One who is slow in learning is called a dunce, idiot, stupid, right? Okay. Book for pictures and cuttings. All of you know it's a scrapbook. So scrapbook was the answer of this question. Now moving ahead to the next one. Okay. Now let's talk about, okay, the taxonomy of science and obsessions, right? So let's talk about some ologies, let's talk about some obsessions and phobias, right? So related to the different, you can say, world, the natural world, the human conditions and the objects and concepts. अब ology का क्या मतलब होता है? Ology is study or science, I told you. Now when you say biology, bios is life, BIOS, bios is like biosphere बोलते हो ना, bios is the biology बोलते हो आप. So bio is life, logy is study. So study of life or science of life is called biology. Ecology, study of environment is ecology. Entomology, देखो एक है etymology. Etymology is the study of root words, and entomology is the study of insects. Selenology, ठीक है, selenology का क्या मतलब होता है? Seleno is related to moon and ology is study, so study of moon is selenology. Then you have dendrology. So dendro, DENDRO, dendro has something to do with trees. It's a root word for trees. So dendrology means study of trees. Zoology, देखो botany और zoology. Biology में दो parts होते हैं, botany plant life से related, zoology animal life से related. So zoology is related to the study of animal life. Alright, moving ahead, natural world से ही relate हो रहा है, environment से relate हो रहा है. Fears and obsessions क्या है? To say photophobia. Photo is light, phobia is fear. Phobia is fear, mania is obsession. So phobia and mania, they are opposites. So when you are afraid of something, you have a fear of something, you are phobic. When you have an obsession for something, you are maniac, right? So photophobic is one who is afraid of light. Alright, cynophobia. Cynophobia is one who is afraid of dogs. Cyno is related to dogs. So cynophobia is one who is afraid of dogs. And zoophobia क्या होगा? One who is afraid of animals. And zoomania क्या होगा? One who is obsessed with animals. Right? Alright. Enthomania. Mania is obsession, you know. Phobia is fear. So when you say enthomania, that means one who loves flowers, one who is obsessed with flowers. Entho is related to flowers. Entho को हम कभी कभी poetry के साथ भी relate करते हैं. Anthology जब आप कहते हो, so it's a kind of study of poetry and poems also. Alright, arachnomania or arachnophobia. So if I talk about this word, most of the times I would say जो भी ladies होती हैं उनको cockroaches से, spiders से डर लगता है. So they are arachnomaniacs. Arachno has something to do with spiders. So anybody, they are arachnophobics, right? So ladies are generally arachnophobics because they fear the spiders. Arachnophobia. Arachnomania is a person who is obsessed with spiders. आप छोटे छोटे बच्चे देखोगे ना, उनको एक्चुअली पता ही नहीं होता है, बट वो पीछे भागते रहते हैं स्पाइडर्स के. दे वांट टू जस्ट चेक इट आउट कि भाई क्या कर रहे हैं ये, कैसे भाग रहे हैं, राइट? ऑलराइट, सो मूविंग अहेड नाउ अगेन बॉडी माइंड और बिहेवियर से रिलेटेड ओलॉजीज देखते हैं. एंथ्रोपोलॉजी, एंथ्रोपोस इज मैनकाइंड, ओलॉजी इज व्हाट? Study of mankind is anthropology. Study of skin is dermatology. Gerontology, geronto is related to old age, so study of old age is gerontology. Psyche is related to mind, so study of mind or one's behavior is called, one's psyche is called psychology. Now fears and obsessions related to the human condition. एब्लूटोमेनिया. अब देखो एब्लूटो इज रिलेटेड टू क्लेanliness, तो जिसको सिर्फ हाथ पांव धोने का सिर्फ वो होता है ना, व्हाट डू यू से, क्लेanliness freak जिसको हम कहते हैं. सो ही इज एन एब्लूटोमेनियक, जिसको क्लेanliness बहुत पसंद है, हमेशा हाथ धोना है, पांव धोना है, सब चीजें ना क्लीन रखनी है. सो एब्लूटोमेनियक. ऑलराइट. एर्गोमेनिया, एर्गो हैज समथिंग टू डू विद वर्क, राइट. तो जिसको काम करने का मेनिया है, सिर्फ काम करता रहे, सो ही इज एन एर्गोमेनियक. मेकिंग सेंस. देन मेगालोमेनिया, मेगालो इज समथिंग ऑफ ग्रेट इंपॉर्टेंस, राइट. सो मेगालोमेनिया, right. Nosophobia. Ab nosophobia has nothing to do with nose. Noso has nothing to do with nose. Noso is something to do with diseases. So when you say nosophobia, one who fears diseases, जिसको बीमार होने का डर है, उसको हम nosophobic कहते हैं. Making sense? All right. Now moving ahead. Now we'll talk about some objects and concepts, and ology is related to them. So we say archaeology. Archaeology is past culture का study, you know. Cryptology is codes का study, you know. And graphology is handwriting का study, right. Fears and obsessions related to objects and concepts. Bibliomania. Biblio is books. Mania is obsession. Obsession for books is bibliomania. And kleptomania. Klepto is related to stealing, right. So if you are obsessed with stealing, right, so you are a kleptomaniac. Pyromania. Pyro is related to fire, setting fires. You know what is pyre? Pyre. Pyre is a word in English which means हिंदी में बोले तो चिता, right. तो चिता में fire होती है, ऐसे इसको याद रख सकते हो आप. So pyro is related to fire, setting fire, right. So pyromaniac is a person who is what? Who is obsessed with setting fires, right. So जो vandalism करते हैं ना, उसमें pyromaniac जरूर होता होगा. Anyway, that was just on a lighter vein. So students, I suppose this much is clear. Now let's go to the class exercise. Class exercise 2. Okay. Now class exercise 2 was asking us about the meanings of all these. So cleanliness, one who is preoccupied with cleanliness. Now what is the answer? The answer is eblutomania, right. Another one was what? One who is obsessed with work. Workalism को क्या बोलते हैं? Ergomaniac. A person who loves to work a lot is an ergomaniac. Cynophobia क्या था? Question number 3. Cynophobia was fear of dogs, right. Then we had dinomania. Now dinomania is not obsession with dancing and music. Dinomania is obsession with dinosaurs. Dinomania means obsession with dinosaurs. And obsession with dancing and music is dancomania. Dancomania you can say. Or you can say choreomania. Choreography होती है ना? So you can say choreomania. Right? So obsession with dancing is choreomania or dancomania. And obsession with dinosaurs is dinomania. Remember this. All right. Obsession with flowers is enthomania. Entho हमने अभी देखा था पीछे. Entho is related to flowers. Arachno is related to what? Spiders. So arachnomania क्या था? Obsession with spiders. Now fear of sky को क्या बोलते हैं? एक चीज तो याद रखनी है ना. Fear is phobia and obsession is mania. जहाँ fear आया वहाँ phobia होगा. जहाँ obsession आया वहाँ mania होगा. Right. So now it's asking for fear of sky. तो phobia होगा, पर क्या phobia होगा? It would be uranophobia. So urano has something to do with sky. Urano is a word for sky. Alright. Agoraphobia. ना यहाँ पे भी agoraphobia है, fear है, तो मतलब ये fear of something है क्या? Agora is open spaces. Fear of open spaces is called agoraphobia. And if you know, which I am sure that most of you know, there's a word claustrophobia. Claustrophobia. Claustrophobia is an opposite of agoraphobia. Claustrophobia होता है one who is afraid of the closed spaces, one who gets suffocated in confined spaces. उसको हम claustrophobic कहते हैं. And one who is afraid of open spaces, उसको हम agoraphobic कहते हैं. ठीक है? There is another word, acrophobia. I'm writing it here, students. Acrophobia. ACROPHOBIA. Acrophobia बोलो या altophobia बोलो, one and the same thing. Alto मतलब altitude से जिसको डर लगता है. Acrophobia also means who has the fear of heights. So acrophobia, altophobia means one who fears heights. Agoraphobia means one who fears open spaces. Claustrophobia is the opposite of agoraphobia, which means one who as in one who's afraid of the closed spaces, confined spaces. All right, moving ahead, nosophobia अभी हमने किया था. Nose मतलब disease, noso मतलब disease. So fear of diseases is nosophobia. Then you have photophobia, which is fear of light. Then you have study of old age. अभी हमने पीछे क्या था, gerontology. And somnology क्या होगा? I told you som is a root word for sleep. Somnology means study of sleep. All right, osteology is study of bones. Osteo is related to bones. कुछ हमारी joints में problem होती है, osteoporosis कहते हैं हम उसको, right? All right, tricho has something to do with hair. So study of hair is called trichology. Tricho. Dendro trees था, tricho hair है. ठीक है, remember all these things. Study of insects. तो insects से हमने relate किया था अभी एक word entomo. Entomo is related to insects. So study of insects is called entomology. Is that clear, students? So this is how breaking the word into its root words will help me out, and this is how, if I remember what is mania, what is phobia, I definitely, yes, would come up with so many words together for my retention for a longer period of time. Anyway, moving ahead, lexical relationship, the structural framework. Right, so now this is an easy one. You know that synonyms are the words with the similar meanings, right? Then you have antonyms are the words with the opposite meanings, right? And as I told you, syn का मतलब similar होता है, nyms का मतलब meaning होता है, similar meanings. Anti मतलब opposite, nym मतलब meaning, opposite meaning, right? Homonyms and homophones. Now let's understand. Homonym और homophone दोनों में ही homo है. Homo का मतलब भी similar होता है, but one is homonym, one is homophone. Now what is the difference? Now see, homophones are the words which have similar sound. ठीक है, similar phonemes. Phone is sound, so similar sound है. Homophones are the words with the similar sound, right? With the similar sound but different meanings and different spellings. Homophones are the words with similar sounds but different meanings and different spellings. ठीक है, जैसे अगर आपने देखो, अगर आपने लिखा BEAR bear and BARE bear. Now these are homophones. This is a pair of homophones. BEAR bear can be a noun wala bear, bhalu, or it could be verb wala bear, which means to tolerate. And BARE bear is naked, barefooted. Making sense? So this is a pair of homophones. The sounds are similar, but the spellings and the meanings are different. On the other hand, homonyms. Homonyms में क्या होता है? Again, sounds are similar, spellings are also similar, and the meanings are different. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे sound और spelling दोनों similar होते हैं. कहाँ? Homonyms में. Homophones में सिर्फ sound similar होता है, spelling भी different होता है, meaning भी different. ठीक है, यहाँ पे देखो homonyms में हम क्या लिखेंगे? ओके, देखो अगर मैं बोलती हूँ BEAR bear and BEAR bear, again BEAR bear oblique BEAR bear. So this is a pair of homonyms because spelling same है, पर BEAR bear noun वाला bear हो सकता है and BEAR bear verb वाला bear हो सकता है. So bhalu, an animal, and to tolerate, to endure, that is bear. So this is a pair of homonyms. Book and book, a pair of homonyms, right? One book is a noun जो आप पढ़ते हैं, ठीक है, and another book is to book an appointment or to book a seat for yourself. Making sense as a verb. ठीक है, so again I have to be clear with this also. Now moving ahead to the class test, जो आपका class test है उस पे हम आ जाते हैं and we'll try to figure out the meaning. So question number 1 to 8 was asking you for the meanings of these words. चलिए जी, ostentation. Ostentation का मतलब होता है शो ऑफ करना, a flashy display. शो ऑफ करना, that is ostentation, right? तो ostentation का adjective form क्या हो जाएगा? Ostentatious, right? तो हमने suffix change करा, वो adjective बन जाएगा. So the correct answer among the options is pageantry. Yes. Penitent. Penitent का मतलब होता है पश्चाताप करना, right? So being sorrowful about something because you've done something wrong. So remorseful among the options is the correct answer. Then the next word is satiate. Satiate मतलब satisfy करना किसी चीज को, right? To satisfy. So gratify among the options becomes the correct synonym of this word. Then you have another word, muse, right? Muse का क्या मतलब होता है? Muse का मतलब होता है khayali kalaam pakana, you think deeply, like you ponder over it, you cogitate something, right? So that is called muse. So ponder among the options is the correct answer. Correct synonym of the word profane का मतलब होता है जो morally wrong हो, somebody who is morally wrong, who is immoral, who violates maybe moral codes and all, right? तो profane का मतलब होगा desecrate. desecrate का क्या मतलब होता है, जो यू कैन से जैसे हम देखते हैं किसी के रिलीजन के बारे में कुछ बुरा बोले या बुरा करें, जैसे हम मंदिरों में जाके मूर्ति तोड़ रहे हैं, या अगेन काइंड ऑफ एक्ट ऑफ वैंडलिज्म यू कैन से, राइट? सैक्रिलेज जिसको आप बोलते हो, ब्लास्फेमी जिसको आप बोलते हो, दैट इज डेसिक्रेशन, दैट्स एन इमोरल एक्ट बेसिकली. Making sense? So, among the options, desecrate would be the correct synonym of the word profane. Moving ahead, via media. Via media matlab through, है ना? So via media means a middle course, through a middle course, right? In toto matlab in total, in totality or entirely. And resume का मतलब होता है summary. आपका एक brief जो CV बनता है, ठीक है, एक brief summary of your achievements, your work, your qualification, that is called your resume, that is called the summary of your achievements, right? Now 9 to 15 में हमें क्या करना था, contextual meaning ढूंढना था of the underlined words, ठीक है? तो I'll try to read some of the sentences for you over here जो contextual meanings थे, and let's try to figure out the answers. Okay, so we are on question number 9 to 15. अपना class test का question number 9 to 15. Let me tell you what was the sentence basically. Okay, देखिए, हाँ जी, आपका 9 to 15 question क्या था, देखिए. The question 9th question was, we were you must have the handouts with you, आप check कर सकते हैं students. We were taken aback at the fulsome praise heaped upon our former enemy. At the fulsome praise, हमारे enemy पे पूरी तरह से praise करा गया उनको, so we were taken aback, we were surprised by this, right? So अब देखो fulsome का यहाँ पे क्या meaning होगा among the options? Exorbitant. Exorbitant मतलब बहुत ज्यादा, कुछ ज्यादा ही praise कर दी हमारे enemy की, that is why we were surprised by it, right? So next was cure, right? तो cure का देखते हैं. You may think at first that it is cure to talk of having too much paper money, and that money is so nice and useful that you cannot have too much of it, right? So अगर आप देखोगे, you may at first think that it is cure, that it is something weird, it is something unusual. So anomalous among the options would be the correct answer. फिर आपका जो third sentence है, that is 11th sentence. The sentence was, the government is under no obligation to other contracts to companies which choose to flout guidelines. So flout मतलब violate करना, है ना? तो flout का आंसर क्या होगा? Options, among the options it means to defy. Flout का मतलब होता है violate करना, जैसे we should never flout the traffic signals, right? Okay, moving ahead, 12th वाला question क्या था? 12th वाला sentence was, soon he felt uncomfortable for the coach was now moving over a rugged road. ठीक है, तो rugged मतलब ऊबड़ खाबड़ road, rough road. So among the options, rough would be the correct answer. Solidarity, obviously, as you know, it is unity. Actuated, अब देखो, there was the statement which says, a great statesman is actuated by love of his own country. So among the options, definitely is impelled would be the correct answer. Impelled का मतलब होता है you're prompted from within to do something. So when you have that sense of patriotism, that means वो आपके अंदर से आती है, right? So that is why this soldier, he was the statesman, he was as in actuated, he was motivated, he was prompted by the love of his country. Okay, then next is impeccable. What was the sentence? The sentence said, his impeccable style caught the attention of the critics. Impeccable का मतलब होता है flawless, ठीक है, flawless, जिसमें कोई गलती ना हो. So among the options, faultless is the correct answer. Alright students, so now यहाँ पे देखिए, fulsome का मतलब था excessive praise, cure मतलब unusual, and that is how we are finding out the synonyms of the words from the options and getting to the answers, the correct answers. और flout का मतलब होता है going against the guidelines because they flouted the guideline. Okay, rugged road का मतलब road condition कैसी थी कि वो बिल्कुल smooth नहीं था, road rough road था. All right, and solidarity matlab when you join together, you show that unity, which we should always as in show. And you said he was actuated. The great statesman was actuated. He was motivated by. And as I said, impeccable का मतलब होता है flawless, blotless, ठीक है, speckless. ठीक है, तो आप इसमें impeccable भी लिख सकते हैं, आप इसमें faultless भी लिख सकते हैं, आप इसमें flawless भी लिख सकते हैं. Making sense? So let me go to the next slide now. Okay, so next slide, questions 16 to 20 of your class assessment. आप देखो 16 to 20 में आपसे क्या पूछा गया था, आपसे एंटोनिम्स पूछे गए थे. So again, if you look at the contextual meaning of these sentences, तो denounced जो है, denounced was the word in the context. Denounced का मतलब, अब देखो there was one of the options which was announced. अनाउंस्ड मेरा आंसर नहीं हो सकता. कई स्टूडेंट्स क्या करेंगे, डिनाउंस्ड है तो इसका ऑपोजिट अनाउंस्ड होगा. नो, यू हैव टू बी वेरी क्लियर विद द मीनिंग्स. तो डिनाउंस करना मतलब कंडेम्ड करना होता है. तो ऑपोजिट क्या होगा, अगर आप किसी चीज को कंडेम कर रहे हो, डिनाउंस कर रहे हो, तो ऑपोजिट क्या होगा कि आप उसको प्रेज करो. So you have to praise that thing. You have to approve that thing. You have to praise that thing. So commended would be the right answer for question number 16. Moving ahead, question number 17. The word in the context was ignorance, right? And the opposite of ignorance is experience. If you are ignorant, that means you do not know anything, right? Or experience का मतलब अगर आप experienced है, so you know a lot about it, right? So that is why they are opposites as per the context. Authentic means something genuine. Right, and what would be the opposite? The opposite as per the context would be baseless. Authentic मतलब जिसमें genuinity है, authenticity है, ठीक है, and baseless मतलब कोई originality नहीं, कोई genuinity नहीं. All right, improvement. You know what is improvement? So the opposite of it would be deterioration. Improve कर रहे हो आप और deteriorate कर रहे हो आप. You're going down, है ना, falling. All right, turbid का मतलब होता है something muddy, something polluted. That is turbid. And what would be the opposite? The opposite would be clear. अगर muddy water है, अगर turbid waters है, तो मतलब वो unclear है, उसमें बहुत ज्यादा mud है, right? But on the other hand, clear would be the opposite of it. ठीक है? Question number 21 to 30 was based on one word substitution. So more than one husband. Anybody who has more than one husband is a polyandrous lady. Polyandry. Now students, you have to be very careful with this. I'm writing down something. एक होता है polygamy. Polygamy. Polygamous person. Polygamous person is a man having more than one wife. More than one wife. Obviously, yes, a man will have more than one wife. ठीक है? And polyandry का क्या मतलब होता है? Polyandry is a lady having more than, a lady with more than one husband. So be very careful with this. Gamy is related to marriage. So multiple marriages. लेकिन multiple marriages की बात करेंगे तो एक आदमी की अगर एक से ज्यादा वाइफ्स हैं तो वो polygamous है, पर एक लेडी की अगर एक से ज्यादा हस्बैंड्स हैं तो वो polyandrous है, because andry is related to men. ठीक है, so more than one husband, polyandry. Deep ground crack. अगर ग्राउंड में एक फिजर है, एक क्रैक है, एक ओपनिंग है, ठीक है, काइंड ऑफ क्लेफ्ट है, वी कॉल इट chasm. ठीक है, इसको हम chasm बोलते हैं, खाई जिसको आप हिंदी में बोलते हैं, CHASM, chasm. All right. Next is list of meeting headings, right? List of meeting headings. Now, among the options, if you look at it, it's agenda. It's agenda, right? Next, you have excessive official formality. Excessive official formality का क्या मतलब है? देखो, आप लोग क्या करते हैं ना, हम लोग क्या करते हैं, हमें फॉर एग्जाम्पल वी हैव टू गेट आवर वर्क डन, तो हम लोग को लगता है कि यार छोड़ो यार नहीं जाएंगे, वी विल नॉट गेट दिस वर्क डन. व्हाई? बिकॉज देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ फॉर्मेलिटी इन्वॉल्व. नाउ जनरली व्हेन यू गो टू द गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसेज, आप देखोगे गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसेज में आप जाते हो, सो लेट मी गिव अ सिंपल एग्जांपल. आप एसबीआई चले जाओ, ठीक है, इफ यू हैव टू डू बिल्कुल छोटा सा काम भी अगर आपको करना होगा, इट विल टेक यू अराउंड मे बी 1 hour, 45 minutes to 1 hour. Why? बिकॉज आप एक से पूछते, वो बोलते उस वाले काउंटर पे जाइए, वहां से पूछते, वो बोलते उस वाले काउंटर पे जाइए, ये वाला फॉर्म भरिए, फिर वहां से जाके वो बोलते अच्छा उस काउंटर से इसमें सिग्नेचर करवा के लाए. सो देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ फॉर्मेलिटी इन्वॉल्वड इन इट, राइट? सो दैट इज कॉल्ड रेड टेपिज्म. उसको हम रेड टेप बोलते हैं, रेड टेपिज्म बोलते हैं, एक्सेसिव ऑफिशियल फॉर्मेलिटी वेयर इट इज इन्वॉल्व, ठीक है। ऑलराइट, मूविंग अहेड, पोस्ट विदाउट रेम्यूनरेशन, बिना सैलरी के जो पोस्ट होता है उसको हम ऑनररी कहते हैं, ठीक है। ऑलराइट, लार्ज स्केल डिपार्चर ऑफ पीपल दैट इज कॉल्ड एक्सोडस, व्हेन यू लीव एट अ लार्ज स्केल, एक मास लीविंग होती है फ्रॉम अ पर्टिकुलर स्टेट और अ सिटी, जैसे कश्मीरी पंडित्स उनका एक्सोडस हुआ था 1990 में, they were forced to flee from their homeland, right? So exodus, a mass you can say moving. All right, moving ahead, अभी देखो large scale departure, large scale departure, again large scale departure अभी हमने करा, so it is exodus, we have just done it, so it has been done written twice. All right, critical judge of arts, critical judge of arts, it is connoisseur. connoisseur का क्या मतलब होता है? connoisseur का मतलब होता है who has refined taste in art, right? One who has refined taste in food is called a gourmet, 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 or an epicurean, Epicurean. Epicurean and gourmet are the words which are used for the persons who have refined tastes in food. But a person who has refined taste in art, who is a critical judge of what, is a connoisseur, right? Connoisseur. Murder of one's brother, fraternity, liberty, equality, fraternity. Fraternity matlab brotherhood. So fratricide would be murder of one's brother. Matricide would be murder of one's mother. Patricide would be murder of one's father, right? Sororicide would be murder of one's sister. Insecticide would be murder of insects. Making sense? चलिए जी, obsession with stealing अभी हमने किया था, klepto has something to do with stealing, so obsession with stealing, kleptomaniac, and one who has fear of stealing, kleptophobic. क्लियर है? मेंटल वेरीनेस एंड बोर्डम, जब आपको लगता है कि आपके पास कोई काम करने के लिए नहीं है, आप बिल्कुल बोर फील करते हो, दैट इज कॉल्ड ऑनवी, ENNUI, ENNUI. The pronunciation of the word is ennui. Making sense, students? So this was about VA1 basically. So we are done with all the exercises over here, and I'm very sure that in this class you have been able to understand that how root words help you, how foreign words help you, and how and probably it's not really very difficult. जितना हमें लगता है कि difficult है उतना difficult नहीं. You just have to break down the words and it is fun for all of you. ठीक है, अभी होम असाइनमेंट पे चलते हैं. ऑल द होम असाइनमेंट इज फॉर यू पीपल टू डू, पर फटाफट से करते हैं. क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 to 5. रिडीम का हमने देखना था क्या सिनोनिम है. सो इट मींस टू रिकवर. अबंडेंट का क्या मतलब है? इट मींस प्लेंटीफुल. प्लीथोरा यू कैन से, आप प्लीथोरा भी लिख सकते हो. प्लीथोरा ऑल्सो मीन्स प्लेंटीफुल. ऑलराइट, इनफ्रक्टुअस, इनफ्रक्टुअस अटेम्प्ट का मतलब होता है फ्रूटलेस, जो फ्रूटफुल नहीं था. देखो फ्रक्टुअस का क्या मतलब होता है? जो फ्रूटफुल है. इनफ्रक्टुअस ऑपोजिट हो गया, प्रीफिक्स लग गया इन, राइट? सो जो फ्रूटफुल नहीं है दैट मींस फ्रूटलेस. एप्रीहेंशन, एप्रीहेंसिव सिचुएशन है कोई, मतलब यू आर वरीड अबाउट इट, सो यू फेयर दैट समथिंग रॉन्ग इज गोइंग टू हैपन. ठीक है, एप्रीहेंसिव. सो यू कैन चेक आउट द वर्ड्स फ्रॉम द कॉन्टेक्स्ट इन योर VA1 का होम असाइनमेंट स्टूडेंट्स. ऑलराइट, पैरानॉइड. ठीक है, पैरानॉइड थॉट्स. तो पैरानोइया क्या होता है? PARANOIA. पैरानोइया एक ऐसा मेंटल स्टेट होता है वेयर यू फील दैट एवरीबॉडी इज आफ्टर यू. आपको डर लगा रहता है कि अरे somebody is after me, somebody is after my life. So that is a mental state basically. So paranoid thoughts मतलब again you are anxious about, you are apprehensive about it, कुछ तो गड़बड़ होने वाला है, somebody is after me all the time. Okay, now we have to find the inverses. Inverses का क्या मतलब है? Antonyms, right? So repulsive behavior. So you know opposite poles attract and like poles repel each other. So attraction, repulsion क्या है? आपस में ऑपोजिट्स है. सो रिपल्सिव का ऑपोजिट क्या होगा? अट्रैक्टिव. ऑलराइट, एमेच्योर, जैसे फोटोग्राफर की बात करेंगे, एमेच्योर फोटोग्राफर है तो मतलब फोटोज अच्छी नहीं आई है. व्हाई? बिकॉज ही इज एन एमेच्योर. एमेच्योर मतलब METUR, मेच्योर नहीं, एमेच्योर नहीं, अमेच्योर, AMATEUR. एमेच्योर का मतलब होता है जो प्रोफेशनल नहीं है, वन हु इज नॉट प्रोफेशनल, वन हु इज बेसिकली इनएक्सपीरियंस्ड, बिकॉज वो इनिशियल स्टेज पे है, अभी सीख रहा है, राइट? तो ऑपोजिट क्या होगा इसका? ऑपोजिट वुड बी प्रोफेशनल. फाइन एनफ. सो प्रोफेशनल वुड बी द ऑपोजिट ऑफ एमेच्योर. नाउ मूविंग अहेड, वेग. तो वेग का क्या मतलब होता है? अगेन वेग शेप्स आप बोलते हो जो कि क्लियर नहीं है, अगेन जो कि थोड़ी सी एम्बिगुअस है, राइट? सो द ऑपोजिट ऑफ वेग वुड बी क्लियर ओवर हियर. एंड देन यू हैव कैजुअल, जैसे आप कैजुअल रिमार्क्स देते हो, ठीक है, कैजुअल रिमार्क, हाँ ठीक है. सो ऑपोजिट वुड बी सिंसियर, जेन्युइन, ऑथेंटिक. तो सिंसियर वुड बी द करेक्ट आंसर ओवर हियर. पैम्पर, पैम्पर का क्या मतलब होता है, आप थोड़ा सा आपको बटरिंग करना पड़ता है, यू पैम्पर द चाइल्ड, बच्चे ये खा लो वो खा लो, देन आई विल गेट यू समथिंग, राइट. सो पैम्परिंग इज अ काइंड ऑफ बटरिंग, राइट. एंड द ऑपोजिट हेयर वुड बी इग्नोर. तो इग्नोर अगर ऑपोजिट है तो अमंग द ऑप्शंस निग्लेक्ट वुड बी द करेक्ट आंसर, right students. So moving ahead, okay, now a second part of the home assignments, we will try to do this also. Now again we have to look for the antonyms of these words. Sanctimonious, अब देखो student, sanctimonious is a word जिसमें sanctity आपको लग रहा है, तो many a time it happens that students relate this word with sanctity, and sanctity is a positive word, so they feel that sanctimonious is a positive word. ठीक है, पर sanctimonious positive word नहीं है. अगर आप देखोगे ये negative word है, because sanctimonious का मतलब होता है self righteous person. Self righteous मतलब जो खुद को बड़ा चढ़ा के बोलता है कि हाँ भाई मैं तो बहुत अच्छा, right. So it has a negative tinge in it, making sense. But we have to find the opposite of it. So among the options, if you look at the options, humble is a word over there, so humble becomes the opposite of sanctimonious, because sanctimonious, as I said, it's a negative word. Self righteous, कि आप खुद ही अपने आप को अच्छा बोलते हो, making sense. So you might not be good, but you seem to be, you appear as in such a manner, like among the persons that उनको लगता है कि हाँ आप अच्छे हो, पर आप अच्छे हो नहीं. So आप खुद ही अपने आप बारे में बड़ा चढ़ा के बोल रहे हो. Alright, then you have opaque. Opaque का क्या मतलब होता है? Opaque is again unclear, transparent और opaque. You know, you've done this in science. Opaque objects and transparent objects. तो opaque का क्या मतलब है? जो see through नहीं होता है, unclear होता है, right? So you can say cloudy, you can say obscure. So opposite क्या होगा? Unambiguous. Ambiguous means जहाँ clarity नहीं है. You're on both the sides. यहाँ जाऊँ कि यहाँ जाऊँ, you're not clear. That is ambiguous. So unambiguous means clear, right? So the opposite of opaque is clear. Among the options, unambiguous is the correct word to be used over here. Catapult. Catapult का मतलब होता है launch करना, है ना? Alright. तो opposite क्या होगा इसका? Hold. ठीक है, आप propel करते हो ना objects को, that is catapulting. So when you propel the objects and when you hold them back, so holding them back would be the opposite. Enigmatic का मतलब होता है something very mysterious. ठीक है, something very complex, something very baffling, something very you can say maze like, right? So that is enigmatic. और opposite क्या होगा इसका? Opposite होगा straightforward. Enigmatic मतलब mysterious है, समझ ही नहीं आ रही है, बिल्कुल मेज की तरह, चक्रव्यूह की तरह है. And straightforward means not beating around the bush, coming straight to the point. Obliquity. Obliquity का मतलब होता है जब आप अपने moral path से deviate हो जाते हो, so you resort to dishonesty, that is obliquity. And the opposite of it among the options would be conformity. Conformity means you comply with certain things, you agree with certain rules and regulations, but obliquity का मतलब है you deviate from those rules and regulations, the honest paths. Are you getting it? Alright, so next 16 to 20 में हम देखेंगे one word substitutions क्या है. Associate in office is called a colleague, you know that. Disease spread by contact is called what? Contagious. Contagious disease बोलते हैं ना जो contact से होता है, that is contagious. Witty and clever reply, it's repartee. Repartee, ठीक है. Repartee का क्या मतलब होता है? जब आप बहुत ही witty सा reply देते हो, a witty retort is called repartee. Regards whole world as a country, जो पूरी दुनिया को अपना देश मानता है, he is called a cosmopolitan, right? Cosmos, पूरे cosmos को अपना मान रहा है, तो cosmopolitan. And no beginning or end, something that doesn't have a beginning, something that doesn't have an end, जिसको हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं अमर, तो that means eternal, right? And we have already done one word in one of the classes. I don't remember where we did it, but yes, we did it. Maybe in the last class, the vocabulary wala class, where I talked about the word ephemeral. If you remember, students, if you have already watched that lecture of mine, ephemeral was the word EPHEMERAL. Ephemeral का मतलब क्या था? Short-lived, transient, not permanent. So ephemeral and eternal, they are the exact opposites. Eternal मतलब long-lasting, जो हमने कहा, it doesn't have a beginning, it doesn't have a end, it is indefinite, right? It goes on indefinitely. So eternal, amar. Ephemeral मतलब short lived. I told you beauty is ephemeral, youth is ephemeral. Especially जो चीजें हमें लगता है कि रहे पर नहीं रहती उनको हम ephemeral कहते हैं. Alright students, so this was about it. VA1 session. ठीक है, अब आपको एक चीज ध्यान में रखनी before I wind up with this session. Again the same thing, please keep on watching the videos, subscribe Pratham Test Prep channel and keep on liking the video, share it with your friends also if you feel that yes your friends should also get to know about certain things. ठीक है, and अभी भी मैं फिर से वही बोल रही हूँ कि when you talk about vocabulary, root words, mnemonic tricks and contextual vocabulary, these three things are very important to enhance your vocabulary. And before I wind up, just let's have a look at this now, the vocabulary deduction engine. अब IPMAT में आपको क्या देखना है, आपको ध्यान रखना है. देखो, नॉट ओनली IPMAT, जो भी आप एग्जाम्स दे रहे हैं, बट यस स्पेसिफिकली IPMAT की अगर हम बात करें, isolate the prefix or suffix. For example, does a word start with mal or mane? Does it end with phobia or mania? This determines the basic mathematical charge, positive or negativity of a word. Right? So जब भी आपके पास word आता है, try to do this, isolate the suffixes, prefixes, root words. So at least you'll get an idea, a hang of it, what does the word mean, what is its connotation, is it a negative word, is it a positive word, etc. ठीक है? Step 2 क्या है? Contextual cueing. That's what I said, contextual vocab, root isolation, right? If the word is in a sentence, look for contrasting conjunctions. If the word is in a sentence, look for contrasting conjunctions. But है, although है, yeah, look for some supporting adjectives. Does the sentence demand a synonym or an antonym? This is how you'll get to know about it. आपको एक सेंटेंस दिया गया है, ठीक है, आपने सेंटेंस को पूरा पढ़ा नहीं और आपने क्या कर दिया, आपके जो फर्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ सेंटेंस में कुछ था एंड फिर वहां पे बट दिया गया था और सेकंड पार्ट ऑफ सेंटेंस में एक ब्लैंक था, राइट? सो व्हाट यू डिड, you looked for a word which probably was a synonym of something which was already spoken before but in the sentence. But word ने आपको एक clue दिया होना चाहिए था कि if there's a word but, that means now the other part of the sentence is going to say something opposite to it. Making sense? So we have to be very careful with this also. This will help us grab the correct word in the contextual vocabulary. Right? Now moving ahead, origin recognition. So again root words की जो हम बात कर रहे थे, linguistic signature. All right. Is it a stand-alone phrase? Identify the linguistic signature. जैसे a priori feels Latin, avant-garde feels French. Connect them to the thematic map. राइट? तो अगर आप लैटिन टर्म्स थोड़ा थोड़ा आपको समझ आएंगे, जैसे मोडस ऑपरेंडी हो गया, मोडस विवेंडी हो गया, तो ऐसा लगता है कि ये लैटिन टर्म्स होंगी. सो व्हेन यू कीप ऑन रिवाइजिंग देम, यू विल गेट टू नो अबाउट इट कि अच्छा अगर प्राइमा डोना है तो ये प्रोबेबली इटालियन है, अफिशनाडो है तो ये प्रोबेबली स्पेनिश है, राइट? सो दिस विल आल्सो हेल्प यू आउट इन मे बी फिगरिंग आउट द करेक्ट मीनिंग्स. नाउ व्हाट इज द कोर टेक अवे? द कोर टेक अवे इज language on the IPMAT is not a list of infinite words to be memorized. Remember, it's not a list of infinite words to be memorized. What we have to do, it's a finite system of architectural components to be decoded. So it's not that you have to keep on mugging up the words and putting them in your list. No, it's about you have to break down the words. You have to understand the finite system of the architectural components that you need to decode in a word. So if you are able to do that, then definitely yes, you are able to enhance your vocabulary with ease, right? So I am very sure that this session is going to help you out, and students, keep working hard, keep smiling all the time and believe in yourself because you are the best. All the best. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.